Long before modern ships ruled the ocean, sailors spoke of something ancient, a creature born from the heart of the sea. They called it the Abyssal Dragon, a being of storms and shadows said to drag entire fleets beneath the waves. Most believed it a myth, a warning for reckless captains. But one expedition, lost to time and tide, proved that legends sometimes rise from the depths, hungrier than ever. The year was 1126, when the Eastern Fleet of Mareth set sail across the shattered sea, chasing fortune and forbidden trade routes. Their ships were the pride of empire, grand vessels of oak and iron, their sails bright as gold in the sunlight. Yet, beneath their keels, the ocean stirred. From the first night, strange phenomena plagued them. Compasses spun aimlessly, the stars vanished behind shifting clouds, and an eerie hum rose from the depths. The sailors whispered of cursed waters, but their captain, Aaron Voss, pressed on. The further they traveled, the darker the sea became, not in color, but in presence. By the fourth night, the waves no longer moved as water should. They breathed, expanding and contracting as though the ocean itself had lungs. When dawn came, the first ship disappeared without a trace. No debris, no sound, just absence. Panic spread, but pride chained the fleet forward. Then came the storm, not of wind or thunder, but of pressure. The sea erupted upward, splitting open as if the world itself tore apart. From that rift rose scales larger than sails, shimmering with deep sapphire light. The creature's roar wasn't heard, it was felt, vibrating through the hulls until wood shattered. The fleet scattered, torn between fight and flight. Harpoons were useless, fire meaningless. In moments, 2 more ships sank into the endless dark. Those who survived clung to fragments, whispering prayers to forgotten gods. And when silence returned, the sea closed as though nothing had happened. Only one ship remained afloat, drifting aimlessly toward the horizon. But deep below, glowing eyes followed, patient and ancient, watching. The survivors thought they had escaped. They were wrong. The morning after the storm, the ocean was calm to calm. The remaining ship, the Wraithwind, drifted in a glass-like sea, surrounded by the wreckage of its fallen companions. Captain Aaron Voss stood in silence, his men hollow-eyed and trembling. The sky above was pale, washed of color, while the horizon bled mist in every direction. The sea, once their path to riches, had become their cage. And in that silence, something whispered beneath them. It wasn't a sound carried through air, but through the wood deep, rhythmic pulses, like a heartbeat echoing from below. The crew thought it was the current, until one of them peered over the edge and saw it. Far beneath the surface, glowing veins of blue light coiled like serpents. They pulsed in patterns, stretching for miles, wrapping around broken hulls, and dragging them deeper into the abyss. It was no natural phenomenon. It was a presence, conscious, alive, and ancient. As hours passed, the ship began to drift toward a strange shimmer on the horizon. The water there glowed faintly, as though reflecting stars from another world. When the Wraithwind crossed that threshold, the air grew heavy. The ocean below was clear enough to see shadows moving, not one creature, but many, all circling something massive at the bottom of the sea. There, half buried in coral and time, rested an ancient stone altar, carved with symbols that matched the markings on the sea dragon's scales. It was not merely a beast. It was a guardian or a prisoner. The survivors understood too late. The storm was not an attack, but a warning. By dusk, the water began to rise again. The pulsing veins glowed brighter, surrounding the ship like a cage of light. Then, from the abyss, the dragon stirred once more. Its eyes opened, vast as moons, burning with intelligence and fury. The sea twisted around it, spiraling upward, forming a vortex that pulled the ship downward. The men screamed as the ocean consumed them, but Aaron did not. He saw what the others could not, the altar shifting, opening, as if something greater than the dragon itself was awakening beneath. The true horror was not the dragon. It was what it guarded. Darkness swallowed everything. Captain Aaron Voss awoke to the sound of water dripping, his lungs burning, his body half buried in sand. The world around him was not sky or sea, it was somewhere between, a cavern of endless echoes beneath the ocean floor. Bioluminescent algae pulsed on the walls like veins, casting soft blue light across jagged rock. He wasn't alone. A handful of survivors stirred nearby, coughing up salt water. Their ship was gone, splintered debris floated above them in slow motion, suspended by invisible currents. Yet what struck them most wasn't where they were, but what stood before them. At the heart of the cavern rose a colossal stone monolith, the same altar glimpsed through the waves. Around it, the sea dragon coiled in silence, its scales glowing faintly, its breath like thunder underwater. But now Aaron saw the truth. Chains of molten gold bound the creature to the altar, burning through its flesh. The dragon's wrath wasn't born of malice, it was of torment. Etched into the stone were carvings of ancient kings kneeling before the beast, their ships offering tribute. This was no monster of chaos, it was a warden, a protector imprisoned to guard something far older. Beneath the altar, the sand began to move, not from current, but from life. Something vast stirred beneath. The survivors watched in awe as the dragon struggled, eyes pleading for release. The glowing veins from the sea above were its lifelines, a network that contained the true beast sleeping below. The ancient mariners hadn't bound the dragon out of fear. They bound it to seal away what it guarded, a creature of unending hunger, the devourer of depths. The altar cracked. The light intensified. Aaron realized the storm that had destroyed their fleet wasn't meant to kill. It was meant to keep humanity away. They had broken that warning. A sound filled the cavern, not a roar, but a low, cosmic hum that shook the sea itself. The dragon turned its gaze toward Aaron, a final flicker of sorrow in its eyes. Then, in one burst of light, it shattered its chains and hurled itself against the altar. The sea split apart. The cavern imploded. And far above, the ocean burned blue as the dragon's sacrifice sealed the abyss once more. No one ever found the remains of the Mareth fleet. Only whispers of light beneath the waves, and a guardian that still waits, restless in the dark.